Okay, so good morning once again. We are starting now. Um, this is web programming, just for the sake of this is Purity that she just joining for the very first time. Uh, so in our last class, I started all over because of Mr. Austin that's joined the group recently. Unfortunately, he's not here. But today we are looking at HTML responsive form design. We are still on what we call HTML tag. Remember the way we are learning the languages. We are combining two basic languages together in websites designing. And the languages are HTML and CSS. So I will just do a little bit recap for the next 5 minutes, just for us to have proper understanding of what this program is all about. So I'm starting with what is website that we are all here to learn how to design. So a website is simply a virtual house with different rooms holding different contents for the public. So I just use that definition so that you can understand what website is all about. So when you call yourself a web builder or a web designer, you are simply saying that you have knowledge of programming languages that can be used to create an online platform where users can visit and access your content. Content could be an advert that you intend to use to draw their attention to what you do, or what you sell. So we can see a website as just that. For now, let's look at the professional definition of a website. A website is the collection of pages. A website is the collection of pages. Now, what do we mean by pages? Let me let me write some of this. So right now we are looking at websites. Website definition. Website definition. I'm still coming to my topic, but I just want to establish this background so that everybody can be on the same page. Now, I said a website is a collection of pages with different contents. So simple as this. So this is simple definition of what we are all here to learn, the collection of web pages. Now, we need to understand what is called pages. For example, I'm going to visit a website now and show you what pages are. Let me visit this particular website just to show us what we want to learn. At the end of the day, what we are expected to build. So you can see this is a website, the collection of pages. Now, the pages are home, About Us, Contact Us. Then if you click here, you see a drop down of our menus. So for example, where we are right now is the home page. So the home page is usually referred to as the landing page of a website. Now, just for us to be able to understand it, when you want to travel, take for instance, you are traveling to Abuja, you go to a park. When you get to that park, board a vehicle. Now, there is a landing destination. There is a particular place the vehicle will take all of you to for the first time. And then from there, everybody can now start taking or going to their various specific locations. So that very first destination, it is called the landing page. And in web designing, it is called the home page. It is called the home page. Now, you see that as soon as I typed www.digitz.com.ng, it automatically prompted me here. So a request was made to a server, a hosting server, that a user, which is me at the moment, needed the content from this particular organization. And the browser simply displayed the content to us that we are seeing right now. Now, the browser displayed the content. The browser did not display about Digitec. The browser did not display Contact Us for the first time, because whatever you program in your homepage is what the user sees once they get to your website for the very first time. Now, it is now left for them to begin to navigate, to begin to walk around your virtual house, your website, to search for other information you have for them. For example, if I want to know about this particular organization, I will just go to About Us. So once I click on About Us, I am still within the house, the website. The only thing I have done is that I have moved from one room to another. That is why I told us before that a website is the collection of information on the internet. A website is just a virtual house with different rooms holding different content. And that is what I'm trying to qualify here. If you scroll down, you see about them. You scroll down, you see about the stakeholders, the people that are behind this particular website. So you can see and so on. If I want to check another page, I can say, okay, I want to contact them. I want to call them, probably if I need a training service from them. So I go to contact. So from contact, you see that automatically takes us to their contact page. And then if you scroll down, you see the number you can use to reach them and their address and other information. Now, this is what we are actually going to design today. You see this form. If you want to reach out to them, you have to fill this form. And then after filling this form, you click on what? Send a message. And then the admin will receive an email that somebody have just what? Make a request or contacted us. So this is a simple example of a website. You can see that they have also linked, they have social media icon here. If you click here, it will take you to their Facebook page automatically. So you can see this is what we are expected to learn at the end of the training. So this is how a website look like. So I want to believe it's clear. I want to get at least a response from one of you, just to know if you understand what a website is all about from my explanation. Is it clear to everybody? Are we good? Mrs. Purity, are you with us?
Yes.
Okay, so I want to believe with what I just explained now, you have an overview of what you are about to learn and also understand what a website is all about, right?
Yes.
All right. Now, that is a simple definition of a website. Now, for you to develop a website, you need to learn languages. There are languages, there are computer languages you need to learn for you to build that kind of website I just showed us now. So that will take us what? To website, web design, languages. Web design languages. It's just like when you say Hausa language or Yoruba language. So for you to be able to build that kind of website I just walk us through now, you need to learn programming languages. And what is programming or what is coding? Programming simply means writing set of instructions on the computer to perform specific functions. So a programmer is someone who writes code. For one, a programmer is someone who writes instructions for the computer to do something. So that the whole of that website you saw now was programmed. That is, certain languages were used to write code that program those contents you saw on the internet. So for us to be a web developer or user interface designer, we need to know what is HTML as one of the language. So HTML represents hypertext markup language. Hypertext markup language. So that is the full meaning of HTML. Now, it is a markup language which is used to define a website structure. Now, when we say a website structure, let's look at it this way. The house you are in has a structure. The house you are in right now has a structure. The structure is made up of the blocks. The person that built the house arranged some blocks to form the room that you are in. Now, just like that website I just showed us now, what defines the structure? What creates this content, this text, digitex, home, all this write-up, the images you are seeing, all these texts that are counting, all this, what created them is the HTML. So the HTML help us to create contents within our website. And that is why it's a must learning language. It's the language every web developer must start with, because you have to define the content before you can talk about enhancing the content, making the content more readable and more presentable. Now, you can see that the role of HTML is just to bring up this write-up and to enable you to publish this image. Now, there is another language called CSS, Cascade Style Sheet, which formats those content, which gives them color, which make them look presentable. So you can see that the website is actually user friendly, because HTML created the content and CSS formatted or decorated or beautify the content. So for you to be a web developer, you need to learn this language, which helps you to publish your content and define your website structure. Another language you need to learn is the CSS. The full meaning of CSS means cascade style sheets. That is the full meaning of CSS. Now, what is the primary purpose of CSS? CSS is a subordinative language. CSS is an assisting language that helps you or a web developer to beautify, to decorate those content the HTML will have created. CSS is just like the makeup artist. You know, the makeup artist will beautify the face to make the face look what? Presentable, to make it look, nice to the people, to the seers. So that is what we do with CSS. For example, when you add an image to your web page, you will need CSS to width it, to resize it for you. Either if the image is too big or if the image is too small, you will definitely need CSS to resize the image. Or maybe you added a square image and you want the image to be a cycle. So you will need CSS to make it a perfect or a rounded object. Or you write a text in your web page and you want to increase the size or change the color or increase the size or change the location. All of this will be achieved with CSS. So that is why we need the CSS, because the role of the HTML is just to dump the content without without being concerned about their webbing, whether they are properly arranged or not. So CSS comes in to help us what? To arrange it. Because there is what we call the UI and US designing. So every web developer that understands the front end, that creates the visitor interface, is a UI and US designer by nature, because we all build an application, we build user interface. For example, look at this. This is user interface created. And what we call the US mean user experience, user experience. So that user experience means the interface you created. How well is it encouraging the users? How friendly is it to the user? Are they enjoying working on the interface? Is the interface friendly to them? Would they like to visit the website again because of the way you use color, because of the way the content are presented? So that is what brought about UI, US. So the UI simply means the user interface application. Why the US, the S there means what? User experience. So for us to build a web page that is user friendly, we need those two languages that I mentioned, the HTML and the CSS. Of course, we need another main language, which is called JavaScript. JavaScript. So JavaScript is a language which we use in adding interactivity to our website. So what do I mean by interactivity? For a website to be interactive, it means that what? There are certain actions that exists within that website. For example, I want to show us, let me show you this. If you scroll down, if you refresh the page, scroll down, let's say, you can see all these numbers counting. That says success story, 3,000. Dedicated tours, 120. You see, when I refresh the page, those numbers started counting and they stop once they get to the what? The last number, programmed by me. Now, that effect that you saw, that counting effect, was programmed with JavaScript called counter. So that is the interactivity. So if you go down now, if you go to About Us page, you will then see that if you hover on, you can see a kind of a display. Once I touch the text, you see that what? It will be bigger. The plan is that when the users are reading, those that have sight issue, so once they touch it, it will be a little bit what? Bigger, and once they leave it, it will shrink back. So all these effects, they are made by or with JavaScript. So JavaScript is actually a programming language which is used to add interactivity to a website content. It is one of the most used programming language for the front-end development. I am going to talk about the front end and the back end of a website in a moment. But before then, let's know that for you to build website, you need to learn these languages, starting from the HTML for developing the content, CSS for styling the content, JavaScript for adding effect or actions, interactivity to those same word content. Any question? Please ask question. Any aspect of my explanation you do not understand, please feel free to ask your question. So at the end of the class, the video will be sent at the end of each of our classes, the recorded video will be sent to us to go through on our own. But I want to find out if we have any question. Miss Purity, are you here? Flourish, hope you are following.
Yes, I'm following.
All right.
Just
All right. All right. Okay, now we also have other languages, which I am not going to talk about now, but I will only mention them. When we get to that aspect, I will take time to explain them because at the moment, our focus should be on these three languages because we are starting developing the website from the front end, from the user interface. So I don't want to bother us with the back end languages. When we get to the back end, we will learn that. So just to know them ahead of time, we have the PHP, which is one of the main language we use in processing data from the front end to the back end database. The form we are designing, when the user fill it, like that form I just showed us in that website, when they fill it and click on send, the data goes to a particular place within your website, and that place is called the back end database. So the PHP is to collect the content, the input, the user input on the form and dump them at the back-end database for the admin to see whenever they visit their back-end. They will also have the SQL, which is responsible for creating that storage where the form input will be submitted to. Okay, so now let's just zero our mind on the front end languages first, which are the HTML, the CSS, and the JavaScript. So the next thing we want to quickly look at is how do I start with the HTML? As a developer, how do I start writing or speaking the first language? So that will now take us to starting with the HTML. Starting with the HTML. So like I've explained before, HTML is a markup language which is used to define your website structure and also for adding content across website pages. Now, the way it works is that you need what we call IDE. You need to install an application called what? IDE in your system before you can actually write code, either HTML code or CSS code or JavaScript code, whatever programming language you are using. You start by installing an app that helps you to write your code. And any of such app is referred to as IDE in web programming. What is the full meaning of IDE? The full meaning of IDE is integrated development environment. That is the full meaning of IDE, Integrated Development Environment. Now, what does that simply mean? A practical example so that you understand why you need an IDE as a developer is Microsoft Word, which is an editor. Whenever you want to write letter, you load up Microsoft Word, or you need Microsoft Word to help you to type the letter. That is how these IDEs are to us as developer or programmers. The IDE are like applications customized for all programmers, being it application programmer or web app programmer, in order to write code. So the whole essence of this application, they are for writing code. So the code you want to write now depends on you. If you are a Python programmer, you also need an IDE to speak Python. If you are an HTML programmer, you need that same IDE to write or to speak your HTML. So that is the reason why I said to start with, before I can start learning HTML as a markup language, not a core programming language, I need one of these IDE to be in my system. So there are different types of IDE. There are different types of IDE. So that will now take us to example of programming IDEs. Example of programming IDE. So I'm going to mention or list the most used IDE. The most used IDE. The commonly used IDE are, we have Visual Studio Code. That is the one we are using for this training. And then we also have, so that you don't think there is only Visual Studio Code that we have out there, we also have Atom. All these are different IDE. We have Sub, Lime, Test, and so many of them. We have so many of them, but out of all these IDE, the first one is mostly used. Why? Because it is very light, it does not slow down your system, and is very efficient. Now that you know that you need an IDE, then the next thing is for you to start your project. So to start your projects, let's say I want to build a website for someone or a client. Where do I start from? The first thing is for me to create a folder. That folder is for a purpose. The purpose of this folder is to harbor or to hold all the resources you are using to develop this website. And the resources includes the images you are going to publish across the pages. The resources also include the code, the HTML code, the CSS code, and the JavaScript code, the PHP code, all the scripts that will be used to publish the website. All of that must reside within this folder. So that is where you start from. You start by creating that one folder that will be holding all your resources. So to start with, you right click on an empty interface just to create a folder and then navigate to new. So from new, you go to folder. So from folder, then it brings out a default name. That name, new folder, shouldn't be a descriptive name. So I'm going to put my name. So I will say, let's say new, or let's say web underscore dev underscore class. So let's assume that this is my root folder name. Now, if I am building this website for Peter, I can as well say what? Peter project. If it is John, I will say John folder. So you can use any name that describe the project actually. Now, once you have created this first folder, the next thing you do is to open this folder by double clicking on it. So once you double click on that folder, it will open on the screen. Now, once you are inside that root folder, you are going to create other folders. And this other folder you are creating, they are for a reason. You want to like structure your file in a way that they can easily be accessed. For that reason, I would like to separate my images from my HTML code, from my CSS code, so that whenever I am looking for the picture, I know that, okay, they are in a folder. Whenever I am looking for my CSS, I know that they are in a folder. And that is the reason why after creating the first folder, which is the root folder, you create other folder in order to segment your files. So I'm going to right click inside this first folder that I just opened up, and then I'm going to select what? New, and select what? Folder again. Now the name of this is IMG, which represents what? Image. You can actually type it in full, but in practice, we usually represent what? Images or image as what? IMG. Now, inside this same folder, web dev class, I need another folder to separate my styling code from the code I'll be using to develop the content. So I'll just simply right click while I'm still inside this main folder and navigate to new again and select the same folder, and then I will name it CSS. So all the code that I'm going to be using to beautify those content so that user can have good experience while they are on my website page will be stored inside what? This folder. Then my HTML code will be in this directory. You are not expected to what? To store your HTML code outside the main folder. That is the reason why I am not creating a folder called HTML, because my plan is that HTML will be in the same directory with other folder inside the main entry. Okay, now I will also right click and create another folder, and I will name it JS, which stands for what? JavaScript. So all my JavaScript code, when we get to JavaScript, probably in a month's time, then I will be storing them here. But for now, like I said, our focus is on the first two languages, which are the HTML and the CSS. So once we have learned them to an extent, then we can now bring in what? JavaScript. That is the professional standard. You need to be grounded on HTML and CSS before you involve JavaScript. Now, once I've done this, the next thing, I will populate this folder with some images that I would like to use. Now, the way it works is that if you are building this website for a client, you are supposed to consult the client based on the type of business the person is into. If the person is a car dealer, then it means that you are going to ask him to assemble all the beautiful, beautiful car pictures and give them to you, because you are going to use those pictures to you're going to publish those pictures in those pages like the website I showed us. You see all these pictures you are seeing, I collected them from individuals before I was able to what? To publish them here. So that is how you are going to what? To work. So anytime you want to start a project, you take time to gather the resources you are going to use. And part of the resources is what? Gathering the images. So now for the sake of this website, let's say we want to create this website for a food seller. This is going to be an e-commerce website, a website where somebody can visit our website and buy or an order for a lunch. So how do we program that? Now we need some images some amala picture. We need some egusi soup picture. We need some, attractive picture. So what I'm going to do right now, I will go to internet. So as a developer, Google is your friend. Whenever you need some resources that are not within the reach of the client, you can go to the internet as a global platform where people must have uploaded those kind of picture, and then you use them, provided they are not licensed pictures. Now, I will just come here and say what? Restaurants. Restaurants. So once I click here, I go to what? Image. Then from image, I want to take one of this picture just to give them an an overview, or to show them how the restaurant is. So I would like to show them this particular image. So I'll just right click on that picture, select save image as, and then when the computer prompts you this dialog box, you go to desktop where you created that folder. And then once you are in the desktop, you locate that folder that we created, which is this. So you open it up, you are going to see your images. You open it up, then you give the picture a name. So let's say what? Rest room. I'm just using this as an example. And then I will click what? Save. So that pictures has automatically saved in my image folder. So I would like to take this also, because this is catching picture. You look for attractive picture. Picture add design to your website. There are some pictures you will use. Your website will be very ugly. So you have to make sure that the pictures are complementing other things. So I will just take this one. I will just say, okay, this one is number 2. So just for an illustration, we are going to be coming back to Google whenever we need any picture. I just want us to know how you can download picture into your image folder. So that brings us to the end of creating our folder. So at the moment, we have structured our file. And what is the structure? The structure is that I have the first folder, which is called the web dev class. Inside it, I have 3 elements. And the 3 elements are folders. One is CSS, one is IMG, one is what? JS. If I open here, you see the pictures we have downloaded. Now, that is the first stage. So what I did right now is to define my project file structure, and also to uh, to download or to gather all the images that I need for me to put this website together. Once you have achieved this, the next step is for you to install the whole of this folder in your editor, because this folder and the resources inside it are expected to be managed by this what? Environment, because that is your development environment. Remember the full meaning, IDE, which means integrated development environment. So it is an environment where you are creating the website, where you are developing the website. That is why it is called web creation or web design or web development. It means that you engineer website, you create website. Now, for you to create website, you need to leverage on a platform. You cannot just be speaking it website form. No, you need to have a platform where you are developing the website using those various languages that I mentioned. Now, like I said, the next thing is for me to install it here. And to install it here, you start by double clicking on it to open it up. So in other words, right now, I am opening my editor. So once your editor has opened, this is how it's going to be presented to you. So this is the user interface of this application. And this user interface helps you to, this user interface helps you to develop. So like I said, I am going to install that folder here. So how do we call that folder? into this development environment. You simply go to File. So from File, you select Open Folder, because what you are about bringing is a folder, not a file. So I will go to what? Open Folder. So from Open Folder, when it brings out this storage dialog box, I am going to locate where I created that main folder, Web Development class. Remember that we created it on desktop. So supposing you created it on document, you have to go to that particular main storage where you created it, then you select it. So in this case, I am selecting what? Desktop. So from desktop here, I will now search for the, I will now search for my root folder, which is this. Now, once you are able to see the root folder, you don't have to open it. Just select it. Once you select it and the name written on that folder is what is showing here, it means you are doing the right thing. What I'm saying is that you shouldn't open it like this. So you have to, all you need to do is just to what? To tap it. And then once you click on that folder, once you click on it, the name will appear here. And once you can see the name here, just click on what? Select folder. Then the moment you click on select folder, just watch what will happen. Automatically, that folder has been installed here. You can see that what? This is the name of the folder, and these are the folders we created under it. So if I expand here now, the next is for us to learn how to manage our file. How do you manage your file? This is the main folder. I can collapse it like this. I can expand it like this. If I want to see what is inside this respective folder, I can also expand them. I can also what? Collapse it. If I click here, I have no code here. I have no code here, because that is what we are about to do. So this brings us to the end of one, loading your project folder into your development environment. Any question before I proceed? Any question? Is purity flourish? Are we following?
I'm listening.
Okay, so not just listening. Listening is one. Are you learning?
Yes.
Good. That is what I want to hear. Uh, Ms. Flourish, hope you are also learning. Just to find out whether we are still here. Flourish, are you here? Okay, so let's assume that she has gone to take water. Okay, so we have just completed the first part of what you need to do for you to start with HTML. Now, the next thing is for you to create your HTML file. Like I was saying, your HTML file should not be created inside any of these subfolder. Instead, it should be inside the main folder. Because as soon as you upload this website on the internet, there is what we call hosting. At the end of designing this website locally in our machine, we are going to buy a space called domain name or file space on the internet, where we will now store all this design so that anyone from anywhere can access the content. So what we are saying is that if you mistakenly wrap or create your HTML code inside any of the subfolder, once they type www dot, the website location and the domain extension, let's say .com or .org, the browser will be searching for your contents, which you must have hosted in a server. Once the browser cannot find your HTML file inside the main folder, then it will output index file missing. And that is the reason why we don't put HTML code or file inside subfolder. Instead, we create them directly inside the first folder, which is the main directory. So how do I create my file inside this, not inside CSS, neither what IMG or the JS? I will simply click outside here. Apart from clicking outside here to view this frame, I want you to look at this arrow beside each of the folder. The one that is facing down now is what? Miss Purity, I want you to, respond to this question. Which of the folder icon or arrow is facing down?
The web dev class.
Which means that you are in what folder right now?
The main folder.
Good. Now, if I click here now, where are we right now?
The image is uploaded.
Good. So you need to understand how that works. Now, once I click here and I can see that the arrow of this main folder is facing there, it means that if I click on this icon that says new file, where are we creating this file? Like for example, now I'm going to say index because your first file in HTML should be named index dot. That dot means a period, which means you are about to define the language extension. So the language extension, because we are speaking HTML, I will say .html. So I want to ask that question again. On Purity, I want you to respond again. I want to know if you are following. This particular file that I created, under which of this folder is created?
It's still under web dev class.
Good. Now, I want us to know what is the relationship between CSS, image, JS, and this index.html to this. They are all siblings, right? They are
Yes.
good. They are all given birth to by the same what? The same mother.
Mother.
And who is the mother? Web
Web dev class.
code. That is what I want to find out. So that is how to create. You can see that as soon as I created this file, and then it erased what I was saying before. Now we have a file. So this is the HTML file. So let me delete it and do it again. So you can right click on the file and select delete, and then you select what? Move to recycle bin. That is how to delete a file. So I want to do it again so that we can pay attention. So like I said, you ensure that you are in the main folder and then you click on this icon, new file. If you select the next one, that one says what? New folder. So that one is for creating a folder. Let's say I want to add another folder here, and the folder is called media. So this is where I'm going to store all my video and the audio that I will publish in my website. So you can see that instead of me creating folder the way we created folder when I was creating this web dev class, I can as well create only the web dev class and call it here and then create the CSS, the IMG, the JS right here by using what? This. But what I want to create right now is HTML file. So I will use the first one that says new file. And then you will type the name of the file, which is index dot, not comma, dot HTML. So once you have typed it, you click anywhere here, anywhere, just click. Once you click, you see that what? The file is created. Did we understand that?
Yes.
Good. Now, you have created a file and the file is absolutely empty, which means that you need to populate it with tag. So there is what we call HTML tag. So I'm taking us back to our slide to explain the concept of tag so that you know what I'm going to do in a moment. Now, there's what we call HTML tags. Now, HTML tags, they are keyword. Now, sometimes it is very easy for you to understand this. See what you do. I told you before that you need to be leveraging on Google. Google have to be your best friend as a programmer, as a professional in IT. You must marry Google. Google will be your consultant. Is your first consultant. Now, for example, I said what? HTML tag. I'm asking Google, what is HTML tag, because as you are learning this, you are also learning some other technical skill. You're also learning internet. That is why I'm doing all this, so that you know how to work with Google interface. What is HTML tags? Let's say I want to know. So once I hit enter now, you see Google explanation on tag. So if you check here now, look here, you can see that what? An HTML element is a type of HTML document. So this is not giving us the right, a short description of what tag is. So let me just use what some other people ask and the answer they receive. So once I expand here now, good. Now an HTML tag is a piece of markup language used to indicate the beginning and the end of an HTML element in an HTML document. Now, I want to see the picture of how the tag look like. I'll click on picture. So picture, you see this is what we are talking about. So let me use this picture to explain it to us. You can see, let me focus on this to explain what the tag is. So let me take this picture quickly to my slide so that we can focus on it. So I want to screenshot it with what? This snipping tool. So once I click on it, just follow me. There are part of things you need to learn. So let me wait for the tool to open up. Good. So I will just select new, and then that will automatically inverse my entire window in order for me to focus on what I want. So I'm taking this to PowerPoint so that we can, once I have screenshotted it like that, then I will switch to PowerPoint. I can close it for now. Let me just minimize it in case I need it. So if I press Ctrl V, it will paste it here. So I just want to use it to explain what is HTML tag. Now, if you look at this picture, you can see this angle bracket, and there is a slash inside, and there's another one. Now, there is what we call, now let's use here. This is the tag name, the opening section. Then between the opening tag and the closing tag, what you write inside is what will be visible to the users. So just to define it in the right context, HTML tags, they are keywords that are inside the left and the right angle bracket. They are keyword. Now, anything you write inside this bracket can never be displayed to the user. The user doesn't see them. They are only for us. The browser uses them to determine how those content you are developing are presented to the users. Now, let me go to my development environment and quickly explain that. Now, what I am going to do here is to call out a simple HTML file structure, which has been created and stored in this editor by default. So anybody using Visual Studio Code IDE knows that there are a lot of these languages scripts that are already built in that you can just call by using the search key. So for example, now I want to call that HTML simple file, and then I will now continue to expand it. I don't want to start to develop from scratch. That is the reason why I want to call out the HTML basic file structure. How do I call it out? Just type on your keyboard HT. Once you type HT, it will bring out these three items. Now, the HTML version we are using to build website content today is HTML5, which is the highest. So if I click on this, you can see that automatically it brings out all the the default, the simple HTML word file structure. So I can now begin to expand this. So this is what I am referring to as tag. Let me press Ctrl plus on your keyboard to increase the view of your code. Ctrl minus is to what? To reduce the view of your code. Ctrl and plus, that is what I press. Now, you see the whole of this that I highlighted is called tag. But let me use this. let me use this. Let me create another one so that you, okay, good. Let me use this very one. So this is a tag. Now from here, you can see that this title is inside the angle bracket, which means that what? If I open this website on the browser now, the user will not see this angle bracket and what is inside. The user will not see this angle bracket and what is inside. The user will only see this place where you have that document. So whatever you have in between the opening tag and the closing tag is, which is the document at the moment, is what the users are privileged to see. So now, how do we check the front end? Because this is your back end. This is where, this is just like the main room or the back, your bedroom, where you are making your plans. And then after making the plans in your bedroom, then the plans will be implemented outside the room. Now, so this is where you are developing as a programmer. Then the user are expected to see your results on the browser, because whenever they want to view your website, they are going to what? Go to a browser and type your website URL www dot, and then when they hit the enter button, then the browser will now go to your file which must have hosted and use this HTML tag to display the content. For example, there is a server that needs to be installed in order to help you to render your HTML or your CSS or whatever code you have written on the browser for the users to see. Now, how do you install that server in case you have not installed? But in my own case, I have already done that. But let me just take us through how you can configure that. So once you have installed this, so on Purity, you can be checking your own as I'm going to go through it. If you have not, then you have to go through the same step. Just watch. Now you go to this icon, which is called extension. So once you click on it, it will bring out this search box. Make sure as you are doing this, your computer is on the internet, not offline. Now you can see that I've already installed it. This is called Live Server. The work of this Live Server is what I will right click and use to output my content for the user, or to check while I'm designing. How do I check how whatever I must have developed will be presented to the users while I am still building? I need to be checking how it will be presented to them so that in case anything is not in order, I can always adjust it before I finally what host it and put it what on the internet for everyone to see. So a way of you testing your work while you are working, you install any of these what server. But if it is HTML, it must be what live server. So once I click on it now to view the documentation, you can see that I can see uninstall here, which means that I have installed it. If I click here now, it will remove it, and then I have to start installing it. So in case you have not installed it, just come to this search and type what? Live server. So once you type live server, it will drop it out like this. Then you click on it. This place that is showing on install will show what? Install. So you click on it until, just like what you are seeing here. If I click here now, you can see this is another version. And that is why it's showing me that what I should install. But I have installed this version. But this is how it will show. You now click on install, and then you wait for a while. After some time, this install will now change to uninstall. Once you can see that, it means you have successfully installed your live server. So I want to go back to my file. I will step out from this extension to what? Explorer. Once I click here, that automatically return me to my design, my file. Then I can remove this and then have access. Now, what I want to show us now, I want you to watch closely. I am developing and I want to see the front end. If I right click here, and then you will see what? Open what? With live server. That is because I have installed the live server. If you have not done the installation, you shouldn't expect it to be here. So once I click here now watch. So the live server will carry my design to the front end and show me that this is how it's going to be to the user. So do you like it like this? If you don't like it, then you change it. Now, what can you see here? you can see document here, because while you are seeing this document, it is because what is showing here is document as your document title. So I am going to change it to what? Welcome, and see what will happen now. Welcome to DigiTech Z Hub. So DigiTech Z Hub is our online platform where we offer IT training. Now, if, for example, now, let's check again this time around. Now, remember that you must have saved your file. The reason why I'm not bothering myself saving, because I have already programmed my editor to be saving automatically. Because if a file is not saved, it cannot run on the browser. And how do you know if you have saved or you have programmed it on auto save? Just go to file. You will see that I have what? Turn on this. So if on your own editor is not showing this, then you need to, if it's not checked like this, it means that each time you update anything, you have to be pressing Ctrl S before your browser can capture it. But to avoid that, because there are times you can easily forget, to avoid that, just program it to be saving automatically. Now let's go to the front end again and see if that place we were seeing document will have changed to what? This particular information. So let's right click and open with our browser live server so you can see it now. Welcome to what? Digital Hub. So instead of the user seeing something like this, new tab or document, which does not in any way describe anything related to your website, you program your title in a way that once they get to your browser, to your website, they should be able to have a sense of entry that they have gotten to the location they are going to. Any question? I mean, Purity, are you with us? Flourish, are you back?
Yes, sir.
All right. Hope we are following.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so I will soon stop. Then I'll give us an assignment. And the assignment is for you to do exactly what I have done so far today. Now, I just want to explain the task. So now, let me come here. If you look at the browser that you open here, this is not the browser. Let's close this. So gradually, you are beginning to understand how I developed that website I was showing us. Now, if you load the browser again, you see that nothing is showing here, just like that's one that I was showing us where we have images, where we have menus, where we have logo and the rest of them. Nothing is showing in your browser body, but you only have content showing in your browser title. Why? Because if you look at your design, you have only supplied this. You have not written anything inside this body. Once you write content inside this, that content will be displayed here. So now I want to display about Digital C. Let's say I want a write-up here about Digital C here. So what I'm going to do, I will need a tag. And that is why I said the HTML tag are for creating content. Content can be text, content can be images, content can be video, content can be a design. So what we are saying is that I want to publish a content title here. And in HTML, there are tags for creating title. Whenever you want to create title, there is a tag for it. And this tag ranges from 1 to 6. So I'm going to use comment to explain. What is comment? Comment is what we use to explain code to ourselves or to the third party. Comment are not executable. They are just for code explanation. And how do you activate comment line? Just press Control button on your keyboard. You will see a forward slash, then you press it. It will create this. So now I want to use comment to say what I want to do. So what I want to do is creating heading using HTML heading tag, using HTML what? Heading tag. Now, the HTML heading tag ranges from H1. You are going to see it like this. Let's say what? H1, then 2. Now, ranges from H1 to H6. So what we are saying is that it's either you use H1, or you use H2, or you use H3, or you use H4, or you use H5, or H6. We don't have H7. And this set of tags, they are only used when you want to create heading, just like we want to do now. I said I want to create a heading that says what? About Digitex Zeal. So how do I publish that? I need a container called tag to publish it. So I'll come outside the comment line and press enter. So I will just type H and 1. Then the editor will bring it. Then I'll press enter. So you can see that what? Editor has already created the tag. But if I go to the browser now, nothing is showing because I told us that anything inside the bracket, the browser does not show it to the users, the people you are creating the website for. The browser can only show them what you bring in between here. Anything you type in between this opening tag and the closing tag is what the browser will show them. Now, what do I want to show them? I want to show them about HTML, about Digitex. I'm not minding the capital letter because I'm going to use CSS to do that, probably in our next class. So now, if I go back now, let's right click and check again. Once I click, you see that what is now showing here. So you can see this is the logic on how every content you see on every website you open out there. This is the logic behind it. So you can see someone is creating it from the back end using this ID or an IDE, and you, as the person that is using the website, exploring the website, you will be seeing only this. Now, if I want to see those tags, then I will have to right click and select inspect, which most user does not know. So now, if I open up the body before, you can see that tag. But if I did not inspect the page, you can never see the tag. You can only see what I am writing in between the opening tag and the closing tag. Any question?
No, sir.
On Purity, any question?
Yet, not yet.
Okay. Are you joining with your laptop?
Hello?
Are you joining this class with your laptop?
Yes, it's my laptop I'm using.
Okay. So now I am stopping the teaching here. You are going to share your screen. From now to 6 is classwork. So everybody will be doing it, but I will stay on your screen. There is a button there. You share your screen. I will enable you to share. You share your screen. So I'll be watching your screen here. So you'll be doing everything. You program everything. You create the folder on desktop, add image, then install it here, then create this file, and then publish about digital sale. So I'll be watching you. If you have any issue, you speak out, I will guide us. So we are using the remaining time for classwork. So this is where the lecture ends for today. Is that
Sir,
Okay.
I wanted to ask question
okay?
before.
Okay.
It's not concerning this one.
Okay, let it be about this one for now. Maybe you reserve that one in our next class, or while Mommy Purity is doing the work, then you can ask your question. Let me ensure that she's able to share her screen first.
Okay, sir.
Please share your screen, ma. Hope you can share your screen. There is a share button. Let me unshare so that if you are sharing, I should be able to see you. Purity, are you with us?
Yes,
Are you looking for the sharing button?
I've done that.